I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Good evening. This is the meeting of January 27, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the applicable portions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been given. This meeting is posted on the bulletin board located in the corridor of this building and published in the newspaper on January 10, 2020. Councilwoman Noonan will offer a prayer, and Councilman Gross will lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Dear God of all humanity, we ask that you empower us to be ambassadors of your love and wisdom to all people on the earth. We know that with your grace we can distribute the cycle of pain and suffering a visit upon our children, and from those who appear to be agents of hate and intolerance, but who are in fact victims in suffering as well. To remember and balance, we ask that you give us strength and courage to act as one family deserving of your mercy, so that peace and unity may be realized in a lifetime. But I'd also like to remember some firemen that were killed in Australia, a few officers that have lost their lives recently. Our firemen are very important to us, and our military. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could, through the chair, have a quick moment of silence for the high school Central Regional student who passed away this weekend in a vehicular-related accident.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Councilman Bacchione.
Here.
Councilwoman Gingrich. Present. Councilman Burns. Councilwoman Noonan.
Here.
Councilman Godano.
Here.
Councilman Gross.
Present.
Council President Bucio.
Here. Okay, item 4, discussion by administration.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item A is the annual Relay for Life that will be held at Veterans Park on Saturday, June 6th through Sunday, June 7th. This is an annual event. We've been hosting the Relay for Life probably at least the last 10, 11 years. It's just a wonderful event. Raises awareness and much-needed funds for research and all cancer-related activities through the American Cancer Society. So I'm there every year for a team in honor of my father, who passed away after a courageous battle with cancer in 2003. So we have a team named after him, Team Newt. Former council president Karen Davis is usually there as well. She usually has a team. Karen's crew, and then many other people. And I know some of the council members participate as well. So it's just a great event, and this is just the annual approval for the Relay for Life event, June 6th and 7th. And it's on the official item 11.1. Item B is the Sergeant John Lyons Memorial Run, which is that Saturday, June 6th, and that's at 24th Avenue. It's a run in honor of Sergeant John Lyons, who made the ultimate sacrifice, who passed away, I believe it was 2012, by serving our country. He's from the South Seaside Park area. If you all recall, back in 2012, we renamed that recreation area in honor of Sergeant John Lyons. So they do an annual run each year to keep his memory alive and to also raise money for service related to those military servicemen. So that's another wonderful event. Councilman Burns and Bacchione usually make the trip with me that morning when we do that. So that's also on the official item 11.2. Item C is just our annual or recurring cancellation of taxes for 100% disabled veterans, and there's 2 additional that are going to be added on the official item 11.3 and 11.4. I did get some updated information excuse me, from our CFO with regard to the disabled, and there is it's a, let's see, land value of about $15 million, improvement value $29 million, so it's about $45 million in ratables. Total taxes is about $967,000. Just a municipal share of that is almost $300,000. Excuse me. So this is, as I mentioned, each council meeting when we bring it up, it's a great program to honor those who have 100% service-related injuries during a time of war or battle, and it's just something that the state passed the legislation. It's something that we do, but it's just another unfunded state mandate. So we approve the resolution. We're going to continue to approve resolutions to try to get the state to recognize that. About 3 weeks ago, Senate President Steve Sweeney addressed the Ocean County Mayors Association, and I did have an opportunity to address this with the Senate President, amongst other issues that I was able to address. And I told him, I says, this is just it's a great program. We support it in Berkeley Township, but it's just, unfunded state mandate, and something that he said that he would look into. And then I guess that's about it on that. I'll have some more comments later as we go down.
Okay, item D is authorizing an agreement with Midway Beach. In a nutshell, the township, under the Condo Services Act, is responsible for taking care of street lighting, garbage pickup, and snow plowing on privately owned areas. In this case, we make an arrangement with them each year because they have a beach, and we rake their beach 9 times a year, during the summer, of course. And instead, we do not have to do any of that road maintenance or street lighting. We simply do pick up their garbage, which is another requirement. So that one works out to be a good deal for us and for them. So it's a win-win, and it's on the official agenda as item number 11.5.
Number 4E is authorizing foreclosures. What this is, we have, council will recall, we recently foreclosed or finished foreclosing on about 100 properties that had municipal liens on.
Yep, that's
We have another 21 ready to go, which is in excess of $100,000 of taxes that is due to the municipality. So we're going to put these properties, they've been notified, they just haven't paid the taxes, municipal liens. There's 21 properties, which we're going to turn over to the foreclosure tax attorney for foreclosure procedures. That is on the official agenda, number 11.6. Unfortunately, there's probably still another couple $100,000, which we're working on as well. Item 4F is appointing a qualified purchasing agent. This to Vicky.
Miragliano.
Thank you. Who works for the township, who is a qualified purchasing agent, namely meaning that we can use a bid threshold of $40,000 instead of $17,500 in certain instances where it does make more sense to do that. In this particular time, it does make sense to do that. It'll save the municipality money in the cost of bidding, the bidding process, and writing up, nothing against the professionals, but certain professionals that you would need that you don't need in this case. So it makes sense, from time to time to use a QPA, and this is one of those times. So that is on the official agenda, number 11.7. Item 4G is authorizing an agreement with the County of Ocean for the fiscal year 2019 Homeland Security. This particular grant will provide up to $54,808 and will be for the purchases of radios and calibrations for previously purchased equipment for the police and emergency management. And that is on the official agenda, 11.8.
Item H is actually 2 ordinances and 1 resolution. They all relate in that they're all authorizing the sale of property to undersized properties to adjacent property owners. The first one, Block 30, Lots 63 and 64, to Darrell and Carol Jackson. That's for a total price of $8,000, and the ordinance actually authorizes the sale. Same with number 2. That is Block 703, Lots 13, 15, and 17, to Jeffrey R. German for $20,500. Both of them are on the official agenda as ordinance introductions, number 8 and number 9. The third one is the beginning of the process where by resolution, we're going to offer Block 708, Lots 26 and 28 to adjacent property owners at a price of $14,300, and then we see if someone has an interest in it, and if only one person does, it'll follow through with the ordinance to then authorize that sale. If more than one person wants it, then we actually have an auction and they bid on the property. So that one, the resolution is on the official agenda as item number 11.9. Item I is authorizing several shared services agreement with Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. The driving while intoxicated grant for fiscal year 2019/20 is on the official agenda as item 11.10. The move over or get pulled over grant for fiscal year 2019-20 is on the official agenda as item number 11.11. And lastly, the drug recognition expert call-out program is on the official agenda as item number 11.12. These grants all involve training and scheduling between the county prosecutor's office and the police department. And I don't know
On the
if
whole.
the mayor wants to add anything else, or, oh, the chief is in the back. Do you want to say anything else? These ones are not monetary, but they're
All reimbursable
training,
grants.
yes. So I think that we're good, and as I said, they're on the official agenda as items 11.10, 11, and 12.
And the DRE, I guess, is in preparation, the anticipation that the drug recognition
Correct.
for, just in case of marijuana. I guess.
Yep. Item J is the actual signing now. We had authorized and knew that we had retained a substantial grant from the State Historic Preservation Foundation, and that is for renovations to the Manitou Schoolhouse. It's a 50-50 matching grant. We have the anticipation and in fact have an agreement in place for a couple years that the matching part from the township would actually go from the sale of some properties for additional affordable housing to be built over in Manitou by Homes for All. So it should be a really great project. This grant was actually for $656,000. And this resolution tonight, which is on the official agenda, is item number 11.13, authorizes the mayor and the clerk to sign the paperwork so we can get it. It's as Fred mentioned on the other, it's a reimbursable grant, so we will have to put out the money first and then they'll reimburse.
Yeah, just as we mentioned at the,
State.
Yes.
at the last meeting, this is just a grant that we've been actively pursuing for many, many years, and we were lucky enough to, between our grant writer and our historical architect, be able to put forth a really aggressive application. And I know Councilwoman Noonan, who's represented the Manitou section, this has been an eyesore in that area for years, and this is going to be welcome. A lot of the clergy has already reached out to me. I know they reached out to Councilwoman Noonan and Councilman Bacchione, and more recently, Councilwoman Gingrich. It's just a wonderful public-private partnership, and as John had mentioned, the state's going to come up with about $656,000, and then through the sale of lots to Homes for All, that money's going to come into the town, and that's the money we're going to use for the match. So we look forward to getting this project started, but before we can get the project started, we need to get the council's official authorization on a resolution.
Item 4K, recreation refunds. There are 5 refunds totaling $150 for the cancellation of an exercise class due to low enrollment, and that is on the official agenda number 11.14. Item 4L is a construction permit refund to Vivint Solar, Block 961, Lot 18. Reason for the refund is that the work was not performed. The amount that was paid was $412. $75 will be deducted for plan review and for the DCA fee. So the amount of the refund is for $301. And that is on the official agenda, number 11.15.
Item M is a introduction of an ordinance. It was recommended from our traffic safety division in the police department. It would make a residential parking permit a requirement to park on the west side of Deal Avenue from Veeder Lane to Red Bank Avenue. And my understanding is it was to help with traffic flow around the school in that area, and as it was recommended, it is put forth tonight in the form of an ordinance introduction, and it's on the official agenda as item number 10.
Item 4N is also authorizing the tax assessor to act as an agent for the municipality along with the tax appeal attorney on any tax appeals filed against the township, and that is on the official agenda number 11.16. And item O is the 2020 recycling tonnage grant application, which needs a resolution allowing the municipality to file for the recycling tonnage grant, which is based upon the tonnage of recycling, and that is on the official agenda number 11.22.
All right, item 5, comments from the mayor and council. Mayor Amato?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple things to bring up. One is I'm going to seek the council approval to adopt a resolution in support of the Ocean County Board of Chosen Freeholders. Recently, we have learned that the state is cutting 2 programs that help keep seniors living independently: the Jersey Assistance for Community Caregiving, JACC, and Home Health Aid Services provided by Visiting Home Care Service of Ocean County. Those funds are state-funded programs that provide a broad array of in-home services to enable an individual at risk of placement in a nursing facility who meets the income requirement to remain in their community home. And the resolution was adopted by the Board of Chosen Freeholders on December 4th, and I have a copy which I will give to Lauren to draft. This is, whereas Ocean County, New Jersey is home to 173,000 older adults, many of whom are isolated, vulnerable, and in need of supportive services to remain in their homes and communities. And whereas the Board of Chosen Freeholders are committed to ensuring that senior citizens age in place with the dignity and respect they deserve, whereas 30% of older adults rely on Social Security benefits as their sole source of income, when oftentimes provides to be insufficient to meet their basic needs of food, shelter, housing, and medical expenses. Whereas as a result of their limited income and the ever-rising cost of living, many older adults in Ocean County rely on government programs to provide essential services needed to keep them living independently and to avoid nursing home placement. And whereas the state of New Jersey has reduced Ocean County's funding from the JAC program in the amount of $249,538, in addition to funding cuts to the Visiting Home Care Services of Ocean County in the amount of $460,000, for a total loss in state dollars to Ocean County's older adults in the amount of $709,000. Whereas the funding is used to provide necessary supportive services which allow our senior population to remain in their homes, and these funding cuts will have disastrous consequences on the quality of life of thousands of older adults in Ocean County. I want to thank Freeholder Director Joe Vicari for bringing this to my attention, and I stand by the Freeholder Director that to convey that these cuts will have a drastic impact on our seniors. So
I'd like to make a resolution on that to, I could always support that. May I ask for a motion on that?
thank you.
It's very important.
Roll call, Councilman Bacchione?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich? Yes. Councilman Burns? Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Godano?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
We can still bring it up.
Council President Bushio?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are they going to bring up the, 2 things, another resolution that I would like to have the council consider is a resolution of Berkeley Township supporting A512, whereas a resident disabled veteran who served in the theater of war is afforded a total exemption from property taxes under state law, and whereas such, not all totally disabled veterans are afforded this exemption as their service does not meet their criteria set forth in the current law. And whereas A512 expands the eligibility requirement, affording more 100% disabled veterans the right to qualify for such a tax exemption. And whereas the mayor and council believe that military service, regardless of where and when it takes place to protect our country, should be recognized, and therefore agrees with the proposed expansion found in A512. And whereas such exemptions are unfunded mandates, as I mentioned before, wherein a municipality is required to make up the lost revenue from this exemption, which typically results in increase of taxation for the non-disabled veterans, the residents of our town, and whereas it's the desire of the mayor and council to go on record as requesting the funding of this mandate and the proposed expansion found in A512. And then Lauren had already drafted the resolution.
But through the chair, could I add something to that?
Yes.
I agree with the mayor 100%, just because they didn't get the short straw that day and have to go into combat, that, they're 100% disabled. They should get it. And as of, was it January 1? They added the 12-mile limit to Vietnam, which made Councilwoman Gingrich, her husband's now, can apply for 100%. So, this is, not like the old days, the draft dodgers. These are legitimate injuries and, 100%. Thank
So I
you.
make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, Councilman Bakayong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich?
Yes.
Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Guadagno?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Council President Bushel?
Yes.
Thank you. One more, actually two more resolution. One is the council late last year adopted a resolution whereas opposing the state legislature that would amend the permissible exemptions from the immunizations for school-age children. Near the end of the session, the legislation passed both houses, or passed the assembly, did not get enough votes to pass the Senate, but the legislature has vowed to reintroduce, which they already have, I got the bill numbers, reintroduce this session. And this is just something that we had already opposed, and I'm just asking the Township Council to adopt another resolution with the new bill numbers A969 and S902 and S903. So for consideration.
Is there a difference in this bill? Is there anything different about this?
Nah, they're basically the same bills. Just
I
make sure.
got a boy, I get bad phone calls on this.
From the last session, it's the same.
Are you motioning?
Oh, where's the, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll
I don't
call,
get the phone call.
Councilman Bakayong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich?
Yes.
Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Guadagno?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Council President Bushel?
Yes.
And then the last resolution is a resolution of the Township of Berkeley, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, supporting the preservation of the Second Amendment. We have been contacted by several lawful gun owners within the community that are part of the Second Amendment Society. In fact, there's two individuals here tonight that have made this request, and it's just essentially supporting the Second Amendment of the Constitution. And we have copies of the resolution.
Oh, definitely.
Second.
I'd like to make that motion.
If
you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
And it just cites a lot of the different Supreme Court
Are you seconding it?
legislation, and it just, I'll just read the last paragraph, and it just says, whereas a law-abiding citizen of the state of New Jersey who possesses a New Jersey firearms purchaser identification card has met the burden of proof to be a law-abiding citizen and is immune from further legislation and laws that are in violation of the Constitution of the United States, and therefore be resolved that the Township Mayor and Township Council of the Townships of Berkeley, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, as follows. The Township supports the rights of lawful gun owners to lawfully use firearms. The Township opposes further interference with or abridging of the rights of lawful gun owners, and the Township supports holding accountable the violent criminal offenders rather than irrational and/or disproven attempts to control lawful tools of self-defense, hunting, and sports. So I appreciate the council's consideration.
I think Tom made the motion, right?
And Judy second, so roll call, Councilman Bakayong?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich?
Definite yes.
Councilman Burns?
Yes, for the past chief, Britton, his truck is still riding around with the right to bear arms on the front of it. So
That's
in
right.
memory of Sam, I'll vote twice.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Absolutely.
Councilman Guadagno?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Council President Bushel?
Yes.
And then just a little lightheartedness, to give the council a report on Bimini Bob. If you're familiar with Bimini Bob was a wild turkey
Oh, God.
that was running loose for 3 months along the Bimini Drive area. And through the help of the chief, through our police department, we were able to get the United States Department of Agriculture to come in and safely apprehend Bimini Bob on January 14th. And he was safely relocated to Assunapunk Wild Management Area in Allentown, New Jersey. So as mayor, I officially pardoned Bob, Bimini Bob, from all his traffic violations over the years, and now he'll be living the remainder of his life in a nice wild life.
You'll be happy.
If he's any kind of a bird, he's going to find his way back.
Do we consider a Bimini Bob Day?
Not yet.
And we're all off that day?
And I got some other minor comments, but I'll wait till the council.
Mayor, is that it? Okay, Councilman Bacchione.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I also want to thank you for appointing me to the Finance Committee as the chairman for my 9th year, so thank you for that. Just wanted to assure that we will be meeting on a regular basis, the Finance Committee. Councilwoman Noonan and Councilwoman Gingrich and I attended the memorial from Dr. Martin Luther King on Monday at the Baptist Church in Manitou Park, and we had the opportunity to read a proclamation which, on behalf of the council here, we honored Dr. Martin Luther King as a great man and a man with a great message. So we were honored to be there that day and representing the township. As the liaison to your planning board here in Berkeley Township, I wanted to give you guys an update as to where we are with the annexation application, the South Seaside Park, the annexation. We had the last meeting this month, and the conclusion of the panel, the board, the planning board, is to recommend to the council in the form of a resolution, which we haven't seen yet, not to allow the annexation to happen. So that resolution should be coming before us at a later date. But that was the decision of the planning board after 5 years of listening to this application. I'm also a member of the Ocean County Land Trust, and the mayor mentioned earlier, he talked about the one-room schoolhouse out in Manitou Park. If you guys remember, here on council, we did a resolution asking the county, as per their recent referendum in November that was passed, to appropriate money to rebuild the Manitou Park schoolhouse. Apparently, we probably have our own grant coming, and we're going to have funds to do it ourselves. But there have been some changes to that, the referendum, and I don't think it's going to happen where the county will appropriate any monies for us to rehab that. But I'm glad we are our own fixers of that schoolhouse and able to do it ourselves. That's all I have at this time, Mr. President, but thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gingrich.
Good evening, everyone. I have just a little notice to say, it's good news for all of our residents here in Berkeley Township that the S-2425 bill, Governor Murphy vetoed, and so it's finally over for us, at least hopefully for another few years. I would like to thank Councilwoman Judy Noonan for all the work that she put into getting this done, also for all the presidents of all of our clubhouses. They made sure that the petitions were signed, and they worked very hard to get that done. And I want to thank the mayor for his letters to the governor, stating that passing that bill would only hurt all of these communities, because eventually it would be an added assessment to each one of the homeowners, whether it was a community for adults or a condominium or a townhouse. And that's really all I have. I just want to thank my council for all the hard work that we do to make everything happen the right way for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Burns?
Yeah, Councilman Bacchione, maybe they can do the old town hall. It's in need of repairs. Maybe we can get the money from the county on that. This week, I went over to Triborough while the rest of the council had some other events, and I saw the new ambulance that we went in with Seaside Heights and Seaside Park on. It's the biggest ambulance I've ever seen, but you know, what our emergency people do for us, you just can't replace it.
Don't say that too loud. George Stone is in the audience.
Move over to Seaside. All right. Also, the Aqua Water they were here, I think, the meeting last or whatever. You know, I turn my faucet on, I get clean water. They should be able to do the same thing. And we're going to ask that maybe we could meet with them, with the administrator, and see if they can't credit the ratepayers over there, you know, an allowance for filters, because it's going to be a long time before they ever clean those pipes up.
Yeah. Just so you know, after the last meeting, I contacted our environmental engineer and Najarian Associates, and Robert Schwarzkopf, his firm, did the preliminary study prior to the installation of the filtration devices. He is on the case again. He's meeting with Aqua. He's going to get the information. He's going to do some independent testing again and then provide the information to us. I'm hopeful at the February meeting, if not the March meeting, and give us at least the February meeting, give us an update on the construction status as well. So just want to let the council know that.
Also on the vets, I noticed there's a lot more veterans using local doctors. As soon as their doctor at the VA gives them the consult to an outside doctor, they can go there and it's paid by the VA. But the problem was when Congressman MacArthur, they had a bill that the bills would go directly to the government and not to the veteran. And I guess that bill died when he left. But, you know, I know that it's hurt my credit that they haven't paid some of the bills, but, you know, life goes on. Also, I looked at some solar panel streetlights. If we could look into them for putting along the fish dock over at the end of Butler, and maybe a few along the Amherst seating area. So it'd be for security, and also it could be for navigation on the water there. And I know people are requesting a fence to stop the balls from going on the Lions Court out into the road. So people don't really want to look at it, but maybe we have to look into that. And the mayor gave me an extra 2 minutes tonight. Last week, I went out to Jamesburg Corrections Facility, and I went through the DCA to tell these the inmates what they could do when they got out, you know, as far as jobs. You know, it's hard to tell somebody to come out and become a carpenter when they were making $2,000–3,000 on the street selling drugs. But I'm going to give you the numbers here, and I'm glad you're all sitting down. To put a inmate in Jamesburg is $300,000 a year. So if you take a youngster over in, let's say, Asbury Park that goes astray and he drops out in his sophomore year. So Asbury Park is $42,000 a year to go to school. So that's $80,000 you just paid. He goes to Jamesburg for 2 years, comes out with a GED and not a job for $650,000. That's insane. The state needs to take that money and help those kids before they get into that fact. You know, that's almost enough money to buy them a family to live with, you know, the whole time. But they really need to look at maybe a 2-year full-time vocational school or something to get these kids going before they get to that point. There was maybe 70% of them would, you know, they were pretty good kids, you know, being there. I guess, you know, they've learned, but, you know, there was some that just wouldn't work. But they were interested, and today I was in Newark, and I was looking at some W-2s. There was elevator mechanics making $185,000, $200,000 a year. Some doctors don't make that. So, you know, they really need to be pushed prior to that. And just to go over some other stats, the average is $21,000 per student in the state. Lakewood is at 30, Camden's at 37. Berkeley, we're at 15.5. We're below the state average. And now, besides the Abbott district, they came out a few years ago with the School Development Authority. This is the same authority that's running the Abbott money now. At 60% of all the school budgets in the state. There's over 600 school districts, and there's 31 Abbott districts. They're getting 60% of the money. They built the Barack Obama School in Asbury Park. Now it's closed. It's the maintenance facility. They did the school in Neptune. It went $30 million overrun, but it wasn't their fault. And then people were surveyed. 60% of the people, residents, don't even know about the Abbott District. And only 70% are really know what it's going on. So, and I also, Hoboken is an Abbott District. Try to go there and get an apartment or try to get a parking spot. Right? Asbury Park pays 3% of their local tax to the schools. Berkeley pays, I asked Fred today, over 50% of our tax money goes to our schools. So, I'm tired of, I don't want to say getting bent over here by the state, but it's about time that, we get together, and I'd asked Fred Bakarian, we were a little tied up this week, but we're going to put together a better, like a cliff note of fact sheet of what's going on. And if they can march on Trenton for vaccinations and whatever, we can do the same thing, but, we've laid around too long. And one more thing on the vets. I asked the county to see if they could put somebody on. We have a lot of vets that are over 85, 90 years old that can't even get out to the facility in Bricktown. They should get a visit. I heard of a guy 95, he didn't even have eyeglasses. So if the county could put somebody on, and I know all the vets are on rolls for real estate deductions, and get out to these houses and check on these vets throughout the county. That's all I have, but I want to thank Fred. He started doing a little research, but, it's all on the internet. You just got to keep looking, but. Okay, and I even asked the lawyer today about, doing a reverse suit on the Abbott District. Neptune has a pool, they have 2 turf fields, and they're only paying 2 or 3% tax. What do we have? To me, equal education is you get the same pen, you get the same paper, you get the same teacher. What the hell's different? They're getting all this fluff on our money, and we don't have it. But I'm sure Fred will have something under public comment. But thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Councilwoman Noonan.
Well, I'm sorry, Judy.
Go ahead.
Just to jump in there, what Jimmy Burns had mentioned, and I brought this up at a previous, as you know, the importance of the census, hopefully Judy will probably touch on that, but at the last census that we had in 10 years ago, there was 11 Abbott districts that the median income is more than the median income in Berkeley Township. There's 31 Abbott districts. Berkeley Township median income is lower than 11 of the Abbott districts. So what's that tell you? And then as Jim had mentioned, the averages, we're very efficient here in Berkeley Township, our school systems. Both school systems are very, very efficient, and they do a great job in educating our children. The high school graduation rate is very, very high. Elementary scores are very, very good. We got good districts here in town, and we're very efficient. But then when you look at other districts that, Hoboken is unbelievable. $1.5 million, the Brownstones are going for $1 million, and they're an Abbott district, which is ridiculous. And that was another issue when I spoke to the Senate President a few weeks ago. I mentioned, now Toms River, Brick, Freehold, all the school districts that are getting less state aid now than they did in the past under the new formula. I'm saying, where have you guys been? For the last 20 years, we have been getting between 9 and 12% state aid, while all the other towns are getting between 30, 40% state aid. Now they're getting a cut in state aid, and all of a sudden there's a problem with the school funding formula. There's been a problem with the funding formula since day one because it discriminates against communities that have high concentrations of senior citizens, and we get penalized for that. In fact, Toms River Brick, the money that they're losing in state aid, we don't even get in state aid, the money that they're losing, just to put it in perspective. The amount of money. So I appreciate Jim Burns, and I look forward to working with Fred Bakarian on this issue, but it's something, every so often we bring it up, but now I think we've got to continue to bring it up and continue to push to see how unfair the current school funding formula is and how they allocate the money for the 31 Abbott districts. When here in Berkeley Township, our median income is lower than 11 of the Abbott districts. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Mayor, I have to correct you. The brownstones in Hoboken were $1 million 20 years ago. Now they're $3 and $4 million.
Yeah, there you
What'd you pay for yours?
Councilwoman Noonan.
go. Unfortunately, John sold his.
Yes, thank you. I would like to go back to when we were over in Manitou for Martin Luther King. It was a very important day because I think we all need to come together, all races. It's very important. What I found interesting that day, that it was mostly a white crowd. I thought it was interesting. It was nice to see a mixture of people. That's the way it's supposed to be. For some people who do not understand the significance of this schoolhouse, that may not be educated to understand what this schoolhouse represents, it was a one-room schoolhouse. The people over there were not allowed to go to school in Berkeley, Toms River, or South Toms River. That is the significance of that schoolhouse, and that's something that should not happen anywhere. And I am really happy that this town is trying to, it is a historical place, but it does represent what happens to one type of people, which is really wrong. And back to the school system, we are going to be having, the census is going to be coming out again. And to go what the mayor says, at one time when the census was done, they thought the senior population had money, literally, which I got from Joe Vicari, Freeholder Vicari. The census is coming out again, and I think they'll find that we are not the high-income people. I think the income, the average, is about $40,000 around this area. So this is a very serious thing with the schools, and this has been going on for a while, and I really think that we get the raw end of the stick on the school system. I also want to thank the mayor for touching the issue about the visiting home care service. This is a very big issue. I do have Freeholder Vicari coming to talk to the seniors in next month. This is a very important issue. There are people that will not be able to have health in their house, help. They'll end up in the hospital. So there you get the extra cost. I'd like to know where this money is going, that they can't fund it. I hope I have, no, I won't make the comment where I think it's going. But I want to thank the mayor for touching that. And as far as the bill, the 2425, again, I thank Sophia, Councilman Gingrich, for coming to testify, but I really have to thank the people who wrote all the emails, all the phone calls, all the letters, because they told me to stop the phone calls in Trenton. I said no. They could not work because the phone calls were so strong. What I'm proud to say, everybody came together. If we could do that for the school funding, that would be really good. But the problem is, they didn't sign the bill, but there will be more bills after this. And my whole intention of doing this is now we pay attention. We have created a new coalition because the people in the other towns, all the way up to Fort Lee, New Jersey, it's called Condominium Planned Community Coalition for the State of New Jersey. We have reached every address, every phone number of every condominium and planned community in the state of New Jersey. So we plan to have a big meeting, an invitation to all these people to show up. So the next time they plan to send a bill, they're going to have, they thought this was bad, it'll be worse. Trenton doesn't seem to pay attention. I really feel sometimes South Jersey is all on its own. We do better in our own community. We do better with our own mayor. Our own people do a better job, I think, than Trenton sometimes. But I want to thank everybody that's helped with this, thank the mayor. And there's one issue that it's been all over the Facebook and the internet about Monarch. Monarch is planning to pull out, but our people are addressing that issue. Mayor, do you want to jump in on that, or George Stone? Because it is out there, and it is a very important issue, especially on the cost. And I'll let Officer Doan talk about it. Thank you.
We received an email stating that there's going to be a meeting for all the first aid squads on February 6th at 6:30 at the EOC for the first aiders to go out to meet the people in charge to go over what's going to happen. And when they're going to take over, it looks like April 1st, they'll be taking over. I'll have better news from there, and I will report back to the chief to report to you guys. Okay? Thank you.
Just because it's out there and people are talking. Thank you. That's all I have.
Through the chair, George, I didn't think Monarch was really doing us any favor, were they, with the prices?
That's a whole different issue.
That's all part of the picture there. The price is going to go
There
down?
were, I don't know. We don't know yet. We still have to meet with the people coming in. We have no idea. The way the billing goes is what was the challenge between us getting paid as a paid EMS, us getting paid versus the Monarch, billing to get paid.
So once Monarch's called, then, and they transport, we don't get paid?
They don't transport,
They don't?
most of the time we do the transport. They're either on the rig with us, so they're working with us. We're hoping to come up with an agreement with the new people. We just have to sit and talk to them.
Good, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
All right, Councilman Guadagno.
Hold on, before Angelo speaks, sorry, Angelo, I just want to.
No, you're not. Okay.
I am. Here's the numbers from the last census, which was updated. Berkeley Township median household income is $43,588. And here's the 11 Abbott districts that have a higher median income. Phillipsburg, $44,000. Plainfield City, $53,000. Elizabeth City, $44,000. Millville City, $50,000. Burlington City, $53,000. Jersey City, $58,000. Long Branch, $48,000. Garfield City, $46,000. Harrison, New Jersey, $53,000. Perth Amboy City, $45,000. Phillipsburg, $44,000. And anybody want to take an idea what the median income is in Hoboken? $106,000. So,
So, Mayor, I have a question through the chair. Instead of changing the formula, why don't you just make Berkeley an Abbott district so we'll get the windfall of money like everybody else?
we've made the case. We've made the case. Maybe we have to do, maybe the committee can do that some more. The same thing with urban enterprise zones as well, with the half of the sales tax. I mean, we qualify for a lot of that as well.
Through the chair, you got to remember the school districts, handle your real estate too. People like to come to good schools, but they like low taxes also. We have the best schools, but once you label it, the same as another one. The right thing to do is just give every kid in the state $15,000 across the board and be done with it. You want a pool, you pay for it. You want turf, you pay for it. All right, thanks. I won't do that anymore.
All right,
And
Councilman Guadagno for the, what? You're going to,
Only because Judy spoke about it. I just want to add on the bill 2425, thank Councilwoman Noonan and Councilwoman Gingrich. And it really was all those, and all the associations and the clubhouse's leadership that circulated those petitions, because there was thousands of signatures, and they were all, once they were filled out, they went over to the governor's office. So he saw all those signatures, so he decided maybe this isn't a bill I should worry about near the end of the session. So, but as Councilwoman Noonan says, it's come up before, came up last year, and chances are it's going to come up again. So we got to remain, laser focused on keeping an eye on it. And if it comes up again, then we got to pass our resolutions in opposition and continue. Angela.
Your turn.
Are you sure anybody else doesn't want to go?
Well, wait a minute.
I can wait. It's no big deal.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just real quick, over the last 3 weeks, the council and the mayor were able to attend our fire department swearing-in ceremonies, and each night was very lovely, and it was just nice to get out there and thank them for what they do. And I just wanted to take this moment to say Berkeley Township does have the best emergency responders, no doubt. And our fire department guys and girls are volunteers. And to hear how many calls they go on in a year is amazing. You hear 400 calls, and they're always putting their anytime you get in your car and you go to a call like that, it could be the simplest little thing. You put your life on the line. And our fire departments and George Stone back there, you guys always do an amazing job, all 3 departments and everything like that. So the council appreciates you. I know the mayor appreciates you, and I know the taxpayers appreciate everything that all of our departments do, and all of our emergency responders. So if you ever get a chance to see them around, it's always nice to say thank you for always helping us out. So that's it tonight. Thank you. That's it.
All right.
Unless Carmen wants to go again.
Councilman Gross, hurry up, Tom, hurry up, Tom.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully we get up before midnight. Very, very quick, I'm happy to announce we're going to have our very first Bacon Festival scheduled May 16th. You may not want to miss that bacon eating contest. A guy walks a pig around. It's going to be pretty cool. We're doing food trucks and fire pits again in September and October, September 12th, October 24th. That's it.
Thank you. All right, discussion by the township engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. 6A on the agenda is a change order for gravel roads 14, which was an increase of just under 3% for some additional paving we did throughout the limits of that phase of the project, and some additional driveway aprons. That will be on the official agenda as item 11.17. 6B is a request for release of escrow fees for a project from 2002 called Breakers at Picket Fences. That's going to be on the official agenda as item 11.18. That's it.
Through the chair, may I put Waterbury Court on there? I did speak to Alan about it. I don't know if you went over to look at it. You just put that little note.
Yeah, it's on the 2020. It's on for
Oh,
this
you
year.
saw it? Oh, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
That's the one you always bring up, right? That one?
Yeah. Okay, because if people were going to come to the meeting, I promised that I would ask again. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, Mayor,
I'm sorry, this will be the last thing, I promise.
that's what you said before this.
I know. I can't help it. Several years ago, a property owner purchased a lot at tax sale. It was a 50-foot lot in the Pine Wall section, and the lot happened to be within the VFW property. So a few years ago, we were able, through our township attorney and through a land sale, we were able to swap that lot with the developer, because he was going to actually build a house in the middle of the VFW property. So we were able to intervene. We swapped land with the developer. He got other lots that he wanted, and we got ownership of this lot. Yesterday, I was at the VFW breakfast, and they asked us for a status update, and I says, well, the good news is we own the property now, so you don't have to worry about a house coming up on the middle of VFW property. So what I want the council to do is direct our attorney to introduce, to draft an ordinance to convey that property to the VFW for $1. And I'm going to ask Councilman Jim Burns, who's a Vietnam veteran, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, to donate the $1 on behalf of the VFW.
I'll make the motion for the for that ordinance for the VFW property.
And Jim, that was you second?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Councilman Bacchione?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich? Yes. Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Godano?
Yes.
Councilman Gross? Council President Buccio?
Yes. Okay, item 7, a discussion by the township clerk.
Item A is a towing approval for midnight towing. They missed the cutoff last year and sent their application in late, so we are allowed 5 towing companies. We approved 4. This would be the 5th. And the police department has done the background checks and everything comes back well, and they recommend us giving them that approval.
I'll make the motion for the Tony approval.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Sophia.
Roll call, Councilman Bacchione?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich?
Yes.
Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Godano?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Council President Buccio?
Yes.
Item B is firefighter approvals. The background checks have been completed, and there's nothing to hold them back from being appointed. We have Shane McNulty for Manitou Park and Jason P. Buto for Pinewall Pioneer. They're both on the agendas as 11.19 and 11.20. Item C is a fireman transfer from Pinewall Pioneer to Bayville Fire Company. The chiefs have approved their swap, and we have the resolution on making that exchange, so and that's on as 11.21.
All right, great. Item 8, the meeting is now open for public comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
John Budish, 121 Anchor Drive, South Seaside Park. Over at South Seaside Park, we have a problem getting the Berkeley Citizen delivered to us. 2 years ago, nobody got it. Last year, everybody got it. This year, on my block alone, we have 5 full-time residents. One resident got it. And with the holiday weekend last weekend, and our garbage collection's on a Monday, and, of course, it wasn't collected. Normally, it was collected the following day. They collected on Saturday. Nobody had their garbage out. All they did was rode around. So you paid these guys for riding around and hardly picked up anything.
Did you call Public Works?
Can I say something? Can I say
No,
something?
but we will, we'll check with
Can I-
Public Works.
The clerk has something she'd like to add.
When I worked across the street, it was a problem with the post office. They
That's what I
don't want to
figured, but-
send out, they pick and choose how many they're going to put in each mail, and, whatever they do with the rest of them, we do not know. We were sending out, I can't tell you how many when I worked over there.
Because I called 2 weeks ago because I didn't get one, and whoever I spoke to was a young woman. She said, we're in the process of mailing them out now, when I still didn't get one.
And I'm telling you, we send them out over and over again.
Earlier.
And it's the post office
they went
that
out
there
the
are
week
issues.
before.
They went out early.
There are
this
issues
year,
with the
and-
post
yeah.
office
You had your
for years.
review,
Because it's bulk mail, and they,
Yeah.
they don't consider that important.
Okay, well, one other thing. I saw in the paper the other week, the township's applying for a CAFRA permit to build a pier over the 23rd Avenue outflow. Do you have any idea how big this is going to be?
It's to cover the pipes.
That's it? Okay. I
I mean,
thought,
Ernie can get you the exact, we'll get you the exact dimensions, but
well, I thought it was so Mr. Burns could dock his boat there to go to Bums.
I got closer.
And one other thing, and then I'm done. Those beautiful benches and stuff you put down at the end of 24th and out in North Roberts, you got to get them guys out there to change. All the bolts are rusting. Why didn't they use stainless? Another year or so, they're really going to get blown away.
okay.
Great, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I mean, it's the Bayside, so I guess the salt water is taken.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the public?
Sure, we used the hard, we bought those things. But, yeah.
You got 2 of them running up
Fred McCurry, 91 Yard Arm Court. And this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. And when Jim called me last week, we talked a bit about school funding and some of the issues with how monies are allocated. And every once in a while, anytime I see an item on the internet that deals with education, I do have to say that we rank number 1 and sometimes number 2 in educational excellence. We are number 1 in the country. We're ranked number 6 in teacher salaries, and we rank number 1 in per pupil spending. So what I have done is the last budget that came out for 2019 and 20 was on the internet, and I pulled it off. And what I did is I put the entire budget for the state into an Excel program. I'm going to give one copy to the mayor, and as council president, I'll give you this when I'm done. And when you start to look at how the monies are allocated, I broke it down into counties, so it has more relevance. And the thing that I was looking for was how the money is allocated based on the political strength in each one of the counties. And the ironic part I found is out of 74 school districts in, not Hudson, in Bergen County, not a single district lost money. Not a single district. In the more heavily Republican counties, there was great loss. In Ocean County, Lakewood got 63% of the total budget for the county. 63%. And I understand a lot of that was for busing. Some of the stats on Lakewood, and I've just had a chance to brush through them, are 25,000 students in Lakewood are in private schools. About 6,000 are in public schools. So when Jim and I get together, there's an awful lot of data to put together to try to make sense out of all of this. And my own thoughts on the way monies are allocated for the APA districts is that they have become accustomed to that money for so long. I don't know how they will run their municipal budgets if we dramatically cut their funds to something that is more equal to the rest of the towns in the state. I don't think they could run their budgets. That money is so relevant to them. Jersey City lost $29 million. Asbury Park lost $3.4 million. They lost $3.4 million. And Neptune lost $1.6. And those are two of the towns in Monmouth that Councilman Byrne and I would cite as we thought would be wasteful. But I just put this together, and anybody would like it on a spreadsheet, I have it. If you'd like me to send it to you, then you can do some math, you can put some formulas in there, and you can start to do some additions. But you'll see how the monies are being allocated, and it's quite revealing. But for 60% of that, almost $9 billion to go to 31 districts, and that is not just used for education, it's used for anything they need. Buildings, whatever they need. I think some years ago when Governor Christie was in office, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook gave him and Cory Booker $100 million. And he said, with this money, I want you to develop a curriculum that could be effective for the rest of the country. I don't know what they did with that money, but I don't think we've seen a curriculum for the rest of the country. What happened, $100 million for study, and it's probably went all to study. And then I understand, I read an article where Zuckerberg then gave $130 million to Oregon to do the same kind of study. So, I leave it to you, but I think when you look at some of these numbers and figures in here, you're going to find them revealing, especially the way they break down into counties and how certain districts and certain schools get a mountain share of the money. All right? So I guess maybe when Jim and I start to talk about this, we'll have something more relevant and more detailed to talk to you about. But I don't know where we go with all of this. I don't know how you allocate and take money out of those districts in any substantial amount that doesn't affect their ability to run their municipal governments.
Just through the chair, thank you, Mr. Bakarian. In fact, the numbers are here. If you mentioned during my remarks, I mentioned that Toms River lost the amount of aid more in the amount of aid they lost than we actually get. And just to confirm the actual numbers, Berkeley Township gets $2,673,332 in state aid. The Township of Toms River Regional, gets $65 million in state aid. They lost $2.7 million in state aid. So the amount of state aid they lost, we don't even get. That just shows you the inequities in the school funding formula.
Jersey City lost $29 million. Now, were they overfunded for so long? And how did anybody pick that error up? How do you lose $29 million out of your district in 1 year?
Because it's based on enrollment.
Pardon? Yeah.
It was based on enrollment, because even when I was at the Mayor's Association meeting with Senate President Sweeney, he said the new school funding formula is based on enrollment. And over the years, as part of their school funding formula, they had a section in there called Hold Harmless Aid. Like the school funding formula, all these towns should have been losing this money all along, but there was always a provision to hold harmless. Well, you're supposed to lose 2.7 million, but we're gonna have another fund and fund you that 2.7 million to hold you harmless. They got rid of the hold harmless provision, and that's why that you see the reductions you see in the state aid. Now, there's Jersey City's.
But take a look at it in terms of the political influence that could be there. It's disturbing to see some of those counties that are very democratic have really suffered not a lot at all. Bergen is really the example.
Yeah, Jersey City, as Mr. Precarian had mentioned, they received $407 million in state aid, and they lost $27 million, but they still get $380 million in state aid.
Yeah.
That's our money.
Okay.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Through the chair, when Senator Michael Doherty was holding those meetings about the funding formula, he stated, and we went to see him speak, was at Capone's. They have a big auditorium in the back, and he said you cannot figure out the funding formula, no matter how hard you try. He did it on a big blackboard, but it was impossible to come up with the ratio that they use in order to fund that money. Also, he stated that most of the money goes to the people that they hire, the administrators, the teachers. It's not even going on the kids. So they're getting the short end of the stick also.
Right, as Councilwoman Gingrich had mentioned, Senator Michael Doherty came up with a constitutional amendment for school funding formula called the Fair School Funding Formula. And what he did is he took the amount of state aid that's given to all the school district and just divide it by the amount of pupils in the state of New Jersey. This way, each child in the state of New Jersey gets the same amount of state aid. I mean, something simple as that you think would go, but you think the cities are complaining about how much money they're losing now. Imagine how much money they lost if it was allocated per child and not per district. I promise I'm done, I'm turning.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak?
Make a motion to close the meeting?
Roll call?
Councilman Bacchione?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich? Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Godano? Councilman Gross? Council President Buccio?
Yes. All right, item number 9, resolution 20-69R, closed session.
Whereas we are about to discuss matters which deal with one or more of the statutory exceptions under the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, which allows the exclusion of the public during said discussions. And whereas the matters to be discussed relate to personnel, contractual, litigation, and attorney-client privilege. Whereas this may be disclosed to the public at a time when the necessity for confidentiality no longer exists, or within 6 months or less from the date hereof. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Berkeley, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey as follows. 1, that the Township Council shall retire into executive session where the public shall be excluded, and where said matter shall be discussed and formal action may be taken with regard thereto. 2, that the minutes of this executive session shall be closed from public inspection and shall so remain until the reason for confidentiality ceases to exist or upon formal action by the Township Council at an official meeting within 6 months or less. 3, that at the termination of said executive session, the meeting would be adjourned.
Motion to close and go in closed session.
Motion to approve the resolution.
I'm on vacation for the February meeting.
Second on that?
Yeah, early.
Roll call. Councilman Bacchione?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gingrich?
Yes.
Councilman Burns?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noonan?
Yes.
Councilman Godano? Councilman Gross? Council President Buccio?
Yes.
Thank you.